There is absolutely no reason why you should succumb to any more hot and cold behavior from your specific person. So in this video, I want to explain why hot and cold behavior generally comes about and how you can overcome it once and for all to get your person fully hot, like a volcano. So let's just jump straight into it. Let's just dive into this. Now, the thing with hot and cold behavior, in my opinion, is it's more situational than not having any results at all or having the full-blown results. Now, the reason why, where your focus goes is where your energy flows. So when you have no results, you can obviously quite outright say, I'm not focusing on the right things. When you have all results, you can outright say, I'm clearly focusing on the right things. So where does the hot and cold come into play then? How come sometimes you're getting hot and it's amazing, you're getting messages and pictures and kisses and spending the night together, and in other times it's almost like you're a ghost to them? Well, the pattern that I have experienced myself when looking back at my own process and that of people that I've worked with is what causes this issue. There's a pattern to it. Now, in its simplest form, the pattern generally speaking goes like, people begin to do the work because obviously they want to have their desire. So they'll begin doing the affirmations, the scripting, the visualizations, the acting as if, whatever technique that you enjoy, they'll begin manifesting. They'll do it consistently, they'll persist in it. Then they start getting results. And because they start getting results, as most people do, they then lessen the work that they're doing, which isn't inherently the problem. But what is the problem is when they've lessened the conscious positive work that they're doing, often if they haven't done the foundational work of building up their self-concept and building up their general self-esteem and things like that, those concerns creep back up again. So then they start worrying again. They start thinking like, oh, it's been a couple of hours since they messaged me. Oh, they didn't message me as soon as they woke up. They start having all of these kinds of thoughts again. And then things start to go bad. And then they get back onto their work because, of course, they want it to go good again. And the cycle continues. So they start doing the work. They start getting results. They stop doing the work because they have some results. But then those previous negative stories come up, which then start creating negative results. Because they're experiencing negative results, they jump back onto the work, which then starts creating positive results. They start getting positive results. Cycle continues. Hopefully that makes sense. So this is why I feel like hot and cold behavior is more of a situational pattern more than anything. The people that aren't getting results are consistently focusing on the lack of their desire or still working to create the outcome of their desire more dominantly up here. And the people that are getting results have broken through that boundary. And the reason why they're keeping the results and not getting the hot and cold behavior is because either A, if they do have any thoughts and doubts come up, they're persisting past them and just kind of being like, what am I even thinking? This person's as good as mine, or they are mine. Or they've done the foundational work of working on their self-concept, their self-esteem, their core beliefs, and therefore they don't have those doubts and fears and thoughts come up. Therefore, it's just kind of smooth sailing forward. So if you're in this position, you're in this hot and cold position and you want to break out of it, take note of what I have just said. Chances are you are in this pattern. You do the work, you get results. You stop doing the work, start getting bad results. So on and so forth. So the two ways that you can go about it, of course, I would recommend both ways so that you can absolutely guarantee that the next time a specific person comes in, they stay in. But the two ways that you can go about it are, when you are manifesting your specific person and you start getting positive results, continuing to just do the work that little bit extra, just to solidify it in your mind, just until they fully show up for you in the way that is absolutely desired and there is clearly no evidence of anything less than that ever to appear again. Because once you get to that point, hopefully you will create it as a solid, bulletproof assumption, and therefore even if you do have any negative thoughts come up, you can kind of be like, what am I even thinking? Look, they are showering me with adoration and such things. So that's the first method. Notice when you start getting results. Notice when you start to take that step back and just persist that little bit further. Just keep going that little bit more. Follow through, if you want to use like a sports term of like baseball or something. Don't just stop once you hit the ball. Swing with it to make sure that you home run it Oh, my cat's trying to get out. Let me just let him out. But yeah, swing with it. Make sure that you completely follow through so that your desire is absolutely guaranteed to stick around regardless. And the other way, the other method, which I would generally recommend more so, because it is just better to not have to persist any more than you need to, and it is just better to not have those negative stories come up any more than they used to, and that is to work on the core beliefs, the limiting beliefs that keep creeping up when you start to get results. My hair's all sticking up. So the way that I look at this is when you are getting the hot behavior, there is something internally that begins to flare up that makes you think, I'm going to lose it again. That's why you start having those thoughts, those doubts, those fears. Whatever that thing is that is driving those thoughts to the forefront of your mind, work on that story. So if it is the idea of not being good enough, and that's why you're worried that they're just going to realize it and leave anyway, identify why that story is there and where it comes from. And then begin to actually genuinely work on that story so that going forward, it never comes up again. So this could look like saying, okay, I don't feel good enough. Why don't I feel good enough? Well, when I was a kid, I was always reaching out for my father's attention. I always had to clean the entire house and do all of my homework and look after my siblings and stuff before my mum said, you know, you've done a good job. So you always kind of felt like you had to do more in order to get something. And now you feel like you can't just operate as yourself and receive something because of those stories. So then you take that and you say, okay, that's my story. I must do more in order to be good enough. Well, either A, that's going to lead you down the route of having to be the one to do everything to make this relationship work, or if you don't, you lose it because of what you have going on up here. So then you create an opposing story. An affirmation example could be, I am more than good enough, or I've always been more than good enough as I am to have this relationship with insert person. Just an example. But you've essentially taken that story and you flipped it on its head. And then with that new affirmation, obviously you can add it into your sort of normal affirmation routine like you may have. But one thing that I will definitely advise is if you have moments where that old story is creeping up, like when those thoughts, those doubts and those fears come up, make use of that affirmation then. Why am I even worrying about? Why am I thinking he's going to leave? I've always been more than good enough as I am to have him in this loving relationship. That's why we're together, or something like that. And you are essentially being reactive, positively reactive, to say, this is what's coming up, but this is where I'm going to take it. And if you can stay doing that process, if you can stay consistent with that, regardless of what the story is, you're going to be proactive with your affirmations, i.e. adding it into when you normally do your affirmations and such things like that, or visuals or whatever. You can turn this into any technique. And B, you're going to be positively reactive by saying, I understand what I'm thinking, and I know that what comes up isn't what matters, but this is where I'm going to take it. And then you have that new affirmation and you create that new story. So if you can do that with the stories that keep coming up that make you start feeling doubtful, make you start feeling fearful, you will adjust the foundation. And if the foundation has been adjusted, then going forward, you won't have the issues that keep coming up. This is why we want to build that foundation. So that, because like I say in all of my videos, or a big chunk of them, being in the dominant state is a percentage, not a quantity. Which means if you did do 10,000 affirmations in a day, great. But if you're doing 11,000 negative thoughts, you're still dominantly in that undesired story. So what this does is it adjusts the foundation so that you have less negative thoughts, meaning you have less positive work that needs doing in order to bring in a result. Therefore, meaning once they have come in, you don't have to do the continue to persist through affirmations because you don't have the negative core or limiting beliefs in place that are even causing the negative thoughts that would create the cold behavior. This is why someone that has a relationship with a very strong self-concept and self-esteem and self-confidence and those kind of things, such as myself, I never have to affirm for Katie anymore. Sammy Ingram, Kim Velez, all of those lot, they never have to affirm for their specific people anymore. The people that I've worked with who have genuinely done good work on their self-concept, they don't have to affirm for their specific people anymore because they've adjusted that core foundation of their self-concept. So if you have noticed that your pattern goes affirm, get results. Because you've got results, you stop affirming. Because you stop affirming, you're now having negative thoughts again. Those negative thoughts create a negative result, which then you start to try and affirm past because you want the good result. If you find yourself stuck in that vicious cycle, take note of what I've said here today. Either A, persist past getting the hot behavior just to ensure that you get that result. Like the example I gave earlier, swing through like you would in baseball. Don't just stop when you hit the ball, follow it through to send it away. And the other element is to work on that core belief or those limiting beliefs, work on the foundations of yourself, because that way you won't have as many negative thoughts coming up, so that when things are hot, they can actually stay hot. Because remember, it's not your specific person just deciding to be a dick. It's the stories that you have going on up here that are providing them a script that makes them act as so. So if you change the foundation of those stories, you will change the fundamental structure of the story you experience. So keep that in mind and go forward and get hot volcano lava-y behavior from your specific person. Thank you so much for watching. If you do need any one-to-one help, I have my membership available where you can get tons of amazing additions from me, as well as my one-to-one coaching. So if either of those appeal to you, by all means head down below into the comment section and the description, and there you'll find the links to my website and my membership. If you're just looking for more amazing content on a specific person, I recommend you check this playlist right here. There's presentation videos, there's deep dives, there's everything that you could possibly want that will help you get your specific person. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll catch you lovely people in the next one. Bye-bye.